Yo, what up guys? Today we're going to be talking about Phase 4 Rogue PvP. We're going to be trying to go through all the basics of gearing, talent choices, runes, and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's actually dive straight into the video. Starting with the talents, as you can see here. Now I'm going to show 3 different builds. I think everybody's pretty much using Backstab as their main PvP build. So because of that, we're going to have a pretty normal PvP build for Rogue, for Dagger specifically, except we're going to have a couple differences being improved exposed armor. But if you've ever played Dagger Rogue PvP, this is basically what you would normally run. Now, as you can see, we're going to be running Opportunity, Camouflage, Elusiveness, Initiative, Improved Ambush because it works with Cutthroat, which gives you an extra chance at using Ambush, Improved Sap, Prep, and Dirty Deeds for that extra energy. And then we're going to take Improved Sprint along with Improved Backstab, as you can see here. And you're going to want Improved Sinister Strike if you use Between the Eyes, which is a rune. If you play Rogue, you'll know what Between the Eyes is. But say, for example, you want to be a little gimmicky and run Blade Dance instead. And I'll talk about why you have potential to actually run Blade Dance if you're being, gimmicky. You can actually take 2 points into Lightning Reflexes, which will help with running Blade Dance and having Unfair Advantage, but we'll get into that in a little bit. And then you're going to want everything in the Assassination Tree as you see here, and you want to have Improved Exposed Armor because it works well with Sebaceous Poison, which reduces armor when you have Improved Exposed Armor talented by 2500. So it kind of makes plate wearers equal to mail wearers equal to leather to cloth, and then it'll basically reduce a clothy's armor to 0, making your damage actually insane. So yeah, that's why I take Improved Exposed Armor. And before we go into the runes and we get in depth with some of the other talent choices, we can talk about not taking Improved Sprint and instead going Master of Deception. And yeah, why would you want to go Master of Deception? Well, if you want to beat other rogues, a lot of rogues are going to be running the Improved Sprint build, so having Master of Deception will allow you to win the 1v1s more often against another rogue. But if you don't plan on like dueling or World PvP where you have to fight another rogue, I prefer having Improved Sprint. But everything else is pretty much the same outside of that. And we have a third build here, which is kind of gimmicky, but basically, you don't take Improved Sprint or Master of Deception. Instead, you take Camouflage and get full lethality. This build is basically an all-arounder high damage variant, but without the utility of Master of Deception or Improved Sprint. So, I mean, if you want more raw damage, this build with, 5 out of 5 lethality could be pretty beneficial. But overall, I think having Improved Sprint would be the best build overall. Now we can talk about runes, and I want to talk about a couple ones right off the rip. Now, most of them are pretty self-evident, but if you run Unfair Advantage, which in my opinion you should, because getting up a Bleed for Carnage or Cut to the Chase is pretty much impossible in PvP. So you're going to be running Unfair Advantage, which makes every dodge or parry give a combo point and make your main hand attack every 1 second. So it's pretty dang nice. And because you run this, you have an opportunity to run Blade Dance. So if you run Blade Dance, you can actually have an extra 10% parry to work with Unfair Advantage and get the extra AP from the defense, which depending on the gear you use, like I have the Deceit Dagger that has I think +7 defense on it in the offhand, plus an extra 25 and more defense from having the tanky Dark Mantle set on. I can get like an extra 150 AP when running Blade Dance, which can be kind of gimmicky, but it can be quite fun as well. So there's a little bit of leeway there if you want to run Blade Dance, and depending on the gear you have. But other than that, let's actually go through the rest of the runes. They're pretty self-explanatory. Combat Potency, just best bang for your buck, gives you extra energy, really nice to have. For the back, you can run Fan of Knives to get rogues out, or if you just want in general AoE, maybe a little bit of extra burst, you can run Blunderbuss as well. Slaughter from the Shadows to work with Backstab. Unfair Advantage, which we talked about, more damage, and because you're going to be getting attacked in PvP, it can give you more combo points as well. Cutthroat to work with Backstab, again, Shadow Step, Between the Eyes or Blade Dance, like I talked about. With the feat, you can run Waylay. It's just very, very consistent, allows you to take less damage and reduce their attack speed, or sorry, their movement speed. But you can also take Master of Subtlety if you want more damage as well. And then finally, for the rings, I take Dagger Specialization and Defense Specialization. And that's going to be it for the raw builds. And now we can actually talk about the gear you're going to want to run. And in general, I'm just going to show you the BIS, but I'll kind of talk about other gear sets you might be able to use. Okay, so now we can take a look at the gear set here. And as you can see, it's basically running a lot of Night Slayer gear and MC gear. So let's go right off rip. We'll talk Night Slayer cover and then running the 100 HP enchant on the helmet. But if you are trying to do like Molten Core Heat level 3, you won't be able to have this enchant on your head. So it depends on what you're doing. If you're not doing Heat level 3, you can afford to have the 100 HP enchant. Eshkander's collar, which you probably won't get. Same thing with Eshkander's pelt, because it isn't really good for PvP, or sorry, PvE for rogue. But you can also run Onyxia's pendant and something like the Cloak of the Honor Guard, something with a lot of HP and damage. But if you need to replace these, I like this because they give you AP and crit and a lot of stamina, which is really nice. And here you're going to have the PvP gear set. You want the 2-piece, mainly because they have a lot of stamina on them, extra armor, and the damage stats, if you run the 2-piece, are pretty on par with Night Slayer. So not only are you getting the benefit of having the same amount of damage with the tier 1 set, but you get to have a lot of extra stamina, which is very, very nice. That's why I go with the gloves and the shoulders of the PvP set, and they honestly just look cooler than the tier 1 shoulders. But hey, if you're into that, like the titty shoulders, all the more power to you. That isn't my thing. All right. Eshkander's pelt here. Again, you can run a different cloak if you can't manage to get it. But I'm just showing my BIS and what I plan on running. The Night Slayer chest with the plus. This should be +4 to stats, and you're gonna have the Night Slayer bracers with greater stamina. Perdition's blade and Corehound tooth with Crusader. Blaster shot launcher if you can manage to get it, just for that extra crit and stamina. PvP gloves with greater agility, Night Slayer belt, Night Slayer pants with that 100 HP enchant if you can get it and you don't need the fire resistance. You can have the Night Slayer boots with minor speed, of course, quick strike ring, Don Julio's band, and there's a lot of extra hit on this gear with the changes in SOD, and you can't really get away from that. I've tried, but even if you have too much hit, the stats on the gear in general are just really good. So you can get away with having a little bit extra hit because the other stats on the tier 1 gear set is really high. And then of course for the trinkets, you're going to want the PvP trinket and the Hand of Justice, or if you want extra crit, the Black Hand's Breath. There's a lot of different options you can use for the trinkets, but I like having Hand of Justice just to have a high damage trinket. Now, this in general is going to be what I'm aiming for PvP, but let's say you're not doing any type of raiding, then you can just get the full PvP gear set, which I've kind of looked at it before. You lose like 4% crit and like 20 AP, and you also lose the 6 tier piece bonus from the Night Slayer, which gives you, as you can read it here, your finishing moves have a 5% chance per combo point to make your next ability cost no energy. So you lose that tier set bonus, but you do gain an extra, I believe, like 900 HP if you run the full PvP gear set. Now, sure, you'll be tankier, but you're going to be lacking a lot of damage compared to the tier 1 set, but it is a really good alternative. And now, what are some things you can change around here outside of just like the main gear? If you can't get Perdition's blade, which I can't because I'm a Mutilate rogue, you can run either Fell Striker or Gutgore Ripper, which is what I'm running right now. And then for the offhand, you can run Corehound Tooth, or if you can't get Corehound Tooth yet because there's competition, you can do what I'm doing, which is in my offhand. This is what my setup looks like right now after 1 week of Molten Core. Gutgore Ripper, and then having Deceit in the offhand. It's a very high damage offhand with a pretty low attack speed, and you get defense and a lot of stamina. And like I said before, if you have this dagger and let's say the tank set of Dark Mantle, which I don't know if I can find it here. Let me see if I can find it. Dark Mantle armor. And I have Dark Mantle armor helmet. Let's see here. Like, if you run this gear set, you're going to have an extra 45 defense, which you multiply that before. If you have Blade Dance active, you're going to have a lot of extra AP. I think, what is that? 180 extra attack power with Blade Dance active because you have so much extra defense. So yeah, you have like a gimmicky option here if you want to run Blade Dance. But let's say that you don't have a lot of time, or you're not raiding, or you can't get gear for whatever reason. What you mainly want to prioritize for PvP is having at least, you in general just want 5% hit. That is the hit cap for PvP. So you want 5% hit. You want a lot of stamina and a lot of AP and crit after that. So if you can find a gear set with a lot of stamina on it, with some pretty good DPS stats on it, you're going to be in a really good spot. And for the main hand dagger, you want to have a slow, hard hitting dagger in the main hand for backstab and ambush to hit really hard. But other than that, that is like the general idea of gearing for rogue, up until you get, of course, the best in slot gear like I was talking about. But yeah, guys, that is going to be my overview for the general PvP build for rogue in phase 4. Let me know if I missed anything, or if you enjoyed the video. Leave a like and comment if you enjoyed the video. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm out.